You cannot say the Quran has been perfectly preserved if a man who came 20 years after Muhammad died standardized it and destroyed all things he did.
What?
The different Quranic manuscripts into what he considered to be the Quran.
So it is possible that there were Sahaba that did memorize abrogated surahs, abrogated recitation. There's no problem at all.
What I'm saying is they themselves thought it should have been in the Quran.
It doesn't say that.
Because they argued about it.
No.
Yeah.
So when they were reading it in places like Iran, in places like Pakistan, all of those places,
Right.
they were reciting it wrong.
Right, so they were saying different things.
No, they were reciting it wrong.
Is that yes or no? Like, tell me.
Yes, he did.
Okay, great. Okay, Ubay ibn Ka'b had 116 surahs in his codex. Uthman standardized the Quran in 652 after Muhammad died with 114 surahs. Who was right? Would you like to have a debate?
About what, Chris?
So we can contrast New Testament with the Quran in terms of reliability. Yeah, so I know that you're familiar with that.
Sure.
Okay, sound good? Am I right to make my opening point?
Sounds good.
Yep. Okay, cool. So we know from Quran, from your Hadith traditions, that there were reciters of the Quran who were considered master reciters of the Quran by Muhammad himself. Okay. Yep. And those are Ubay ibn Ka'b. Oh, yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So Ubay ibn Ka'b was one of them. Okay. Another one was Abdullah ibn Masud, and there were two others as well, I believe, right? Muhammad said that these were people that you could learn to recite the Quran from because they were knowledgeable in the Quran. So we know from Sahih Hadith, in Sahih al-Bukhari, for example, that there were disagreements among the codexes of Abdullah ibn Masud and Ubay ibn Ka'b after Muhammad's death, and they were arguing about what was meant to be in the Quran and what was not meant to be in the Quran. So, for example, in Ubay ibn Ka'b, his codex had 116 surahs. But Abdullah ibn Masud only had 110 surahs. They were also ordered differently. And even within certain surahs, some of them had differences about what certain verses should have been. So for example, Ubay ibn Ka'b I'll mention that a bit later. But clearly there are differences in these two codexes. Now, we know that something cannot be perfectly preserved, which I think you believe about the Quran. It's perfectly preserved, letter by letter, dot by dot, sound by, well maybe not sound by sound because you think there's different Qur'an. But ultimately it's perfectly preserved, yeah? Okay, how can the Quran be perfectly preserved if the earliest and most reliable translators of the Quran, those who had learnt many surahs off by heart, Abdullah ibn Masud said he learnt 70 surahs off by heart, when they disagreed about what the Quran should be?
Do you know what? The Quran that we go by the Uthmanic script, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The Ubay bin Ka'b, Abdullah bin Mas'ud, did they say that the surahs that they memorized has been abrogated?
How do you mean by that? Is it like they no longer apply?
Yeah, it's been
abrogated.
abrogated.
They believe they should have been still in the Quran.
No, they didn't say that. They said
Yes, they did.
No. They say it's been abrogated.
No, it was a later idea that they had been, but Abdullah ibn Masud completely disagreed what Uthman was doing.
The Quran that you have today, we go by the Uthmanic script.
Yes,
okay?
And that's because
right. wherever the collection you get from other than Uthmanic script,
yep.
Even Ubay bin Ka'b as well as Abdullah bin Mas'ud even said these surahs have been abrogated. Do you really think that the abrogation is only from the Quran? No. There has been abrogation that's not even included in the Quran. For example, the stoning. For example, the breastfeeding.
Yeah, and the verse of stoning,
exactly.
Right?
So
but again, but what I'm saying to you though is that there are people who disagreed and thought that it should have been in the Quran.
Who said this disagreement?
Okay, no. Abdullah ibn Masud, he disagreed with what Uthman did when he only took certain parts of what he was saying and rejected others.
No, but Abdullah ibn Masud said that the surah that he has been abrogated.
Yes, after this has happened. In other words, he put up a fight to say, no, you need to include what I'm saying. I memorized over 70 surahs of the Quran from the Prophet. I was said to be one of the greatest reciters of the Quran. Yeah. You're not taking all I'm saying.
Does that necessarily mean that it's not been abrogated? It has been abrogated.
Wait, but why would he argue about it if he already thought it was abrogated?
You do know the Sahaba, you do know the companions memorized surahs that has been abrogated.
Yes, but they didn't believe that when the Uthmanic script was being because they themselves said that they record in their own authentic hadith.
Abrogated. They said
later they did.
No. They said it's been abrogated.
Later.
Okay, where do we get our authorization from? The abrogation. We get it from the Prophet.
Okay.
The Prophet said it's
Right,
been
but the
abrogated.
Prophet had died at this
So it doesn't
point.
really matter.
No,
if
the
Abdullah
Prophet
bin
had
Mas'ud-
died at this point.
Listen to me.
Right.
It doesn't matter if Abdullah bin Mas'ud or Ubay bin Ka'ab, how many surahs they memorize even the abrogated verses.
Okay.
That doesn't necessarily mean it should be in the Quran.
No. They disagreed about what should be in the Quran and what shouldn't.
No, where'd you get that? Prove it.
Okay. No. Ubay ibn Ka'ab said there should be 116 surahs in the Quran.
Where
Abdullah
did it say
ibn
it's
Mas'ud said
supposed to?
110.
Where does it say that?
Because in his codex, that's how many he had.
We're saying the codex that Ubay bin Ka'ab,
Which
yes,
they
you're
thought was
correct.
Quran.
It's possible. Yes, it's correct.
Right, okay, so
No,
they disagreed.
No, I'm saying it's possible
Yeah.
that Ubay bin Abdullah had 116 surahs,
Yeah.
right? But some of these surahs have been abrogated.
Right. What I'm saying
So
though
we
is
go by the Uthmanic
the Uthmanic script was a consensus trying to figure out what to do with the fact that they all
There was
disagreed.
no consensus about what surah should be included.
Okay, what did
The
Uthman
Prophet-
do with the Quran?
The Prophet ﷺ, in his lifetime, Jibreel alayhi salam recited the whole Quran to him, and the Prophet ﷺ then affirmed what's been abrogated, what's not. So it doesn't matter if Ubay bin Ka'ab memorized 70 or 116 surahs. It doesn't matter because we have the Prophet ﷺ telling us what's been abrogated.
Wait. But where did they get that from? They got it from the Prophet.
I don't disagree with that. I
Right.
don't disagree
Okay.
with
So
that. Hang on.
they heard different things from the Prophet and they
I don't
disagreed about
disagree
it.
with that, Chris.
Okay.
Where did
cool.
I say?
Right.
that
So you
doesn't
agree
exist?
with me then that they disagreed about what should be in the
No,
Quran?
no, not disagreed. I'm saying it's possible that they memorized certain ayats, certain surahs that wasn't abrogated then until the Prophet ﷺ authorized this is abrogated. Absolutely.
But no, they argued
possible.
after the death of the Prophet.
No, they didn't.
Yes.
No, they didn't.
No. This
No,
is
they
this is
didn't.
after Abu Bakr's Zayd bin Thabit when he had compiled the first one in 634. This is after that.
Okay.
Muhammad died in 632.
Okay, fine.
Right,
fine.
so they're arguing after Muhammad had died,
No,
saying that I heard the
they-
Prophet
they
say
didn't
this and
argue
this and this.
They didn't argue about that.
It's in your authentic hadith.
There is no argument about what should be included or not. That's an absolute lie, with all due respect.
All right, I'm going to find hadith where it talks about
That's
that
an
then.
absolute lie, with all due respect. Ubay, I've got no problem at all. There are some Sahaba that did memorize verses and surahs that's been abrogated. I don't deny that. But at the end of the day, the Prophet ﷺ, he told us what's been abrogated, what's not. So we're only going by the Uthmanic codex. In
Okay.
fact, you've even discussed with Mansur and Hashim. So I don't know why you're discussing with me.
I haven't discussed this with him.
They're the best people to talk about this.
Oh, well, that's fine. Well, maybe I'll
So
have a
let's
chat
talk
with
about
him.
theology.
Well,
I think theology is more
okay,
important
but can I
than
just say this, because you've just said this isn't true. I'm going to read Surah Al-Bukhari 4987.
Yes.
And it says this. Narrated Anas bin Malik. Hudayfa bin al-Yaman, forgive my Arabic
I know
pronunciation,
this. Go on.
came to Uthman at the time of the people of Sham, and the people of Iraq were waging war to conquer Armenia and Abijayan. Hudayfa was afraid of the people of Sham and Iraq, differences in the recitation of the Quran. So he said to Uthman, O chief of the believers, save this nation before they differ about the book, the Quran, as Jews and the Christians did before. That sounds like pretty big
Did it happen?
differences.
Did it happen?
Well, no, I'm not saying it happened. I'm saying that.
Thank
Wait.
you very much.
I'm saying they
Thank you very
argued
much.
about it
So just because they feared about something doesn't mean it happened.
because
did
they
it?
were arguing about it. He noticed two different
You know what's
recitations.
the context? The context was
Yeah.
there was a war.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That war,
Up
they were
north,
scared
outside of
the
Arabia.
Kuffars. They were scared of the Kuffars dying. Did it necessarily mean that there were different recitations? That doesn't necessarily mean.
Well, yeah,
that
there were,
there's
'cause
a
it
change.
says there were different
No,
recitations.
it's a fear. It didn't happen.
No. Listen. At the time of the people of original war,
Do you know what, Chris? With all due respect,
he was afraid of their differences in their recitation of the Quran.
Afraid.
Of their what?
Afraid.
Of their.
Of different recitations. Did it happen? Did it happen?
If I tell you I'm afraid of tomorrow, like, it means that I'm
Does that
believing
mean-
that
does
I'm
that
believing
mean
that thing is real, right?
Do you think that? Yeah, but does that
If
necessarily
I'm
happen?
afraid of something, then I am asserting that
Did
it is the
happen in
case.
reality? Oh, sorry. Did it happen in reality?
Is that your thing? Hi, man. Oh, God bless, man. All the best. Good to see you.
Is that over there waiting for you?
Huh?
Just because.
Sorry, mate.
What's the other?
Where's what?
Where's the other?
I don't know. Bob was around here, but I think he's moved. JC's around somewhere. Yeah, I'll catch you up here.
Chris,
Sorry about that.
Just because something you're afraid of doesn't necessarily mean it happened.
Yeah, but if I say I'm afraid, if I said to you I'm afraid of the differences in the Bible, am I implying there's differences in the Bible?
No, you don't. Unless it's real, unless...
Come on, man. That's
unless there are
not true.
differences. No, you're being... With all due respect, Chris, there is no evidence
Yeah.
in that hadith where
Yeah.
it says there's been changes. There is not.
Well, actually,
There
let's
were
keep
people-
reading.
there
Let's
were
keep reading.
people-
Let's keep
there were
reading.
people who feared.
So Uthman sent a message to Hafsa saying, "Send us the manuscripts of the Quran. This will be the one that was compiled by Abu
Yes,
Bakr,
yes.
so that we may compile the Quran materials in perfect copies."
Yes.
So he's compiling a Quran now and return the manuscripts to you.
Yes.
So there were manuscripts, differing ones.
Yes.
We know this. Ubay ibn Ka'b had his.
Yes.
Abdullah ibn Masud had his.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Hafsa sent it to Uthman. Uthman then ordered Zayd bin Thabit, Al-Zubair, Zayd bin Ayas, and Abdul Rahman bin Harith bin Hisham and Abdul Rahman bin Harith. I'm not going to repeat all this. Rewrite the manuscripts in perfect copies. So they're rewriting the Quran in perfect copies. Uthman said to the three Qurayshi men, "In case you disagree with Zayd bin Thabit on any point of the Quran, then write it in the dialect of Quraysh." Wait, why would they disagree?
Oh, okay, I see what you mean now.
What?
They're not hang on.
It says-
they're not you do know there are different dialects.
Right, and they're arguing about it.
Are there differences?
Okay, wait, yeah,
No, no,
wait,
I'm
wait.
asking you the question.
Oh, there's 7 haruf. Yeah.
Hang on. Yeah.
Yeah,
Does
okay,
that
okay.
mean they're different Qur'ans?
There's none of the different Qurans. Well, people seem to think
No,
that.
no, I'm asking you.
The companions seem to think that.
No. I'm asking you, did
Right.
the Prophet ﷺ,
Yeah.
did he permit the reading of 7 different ahruf?
According to your traditions, yes.
Yes.
They
thank you very
argued
much.
about what they were.
Thank you very
They
much.
argued about what they were,
thank
so
you
they
very
were
much.
compiled into one.
Thank you very much. So
right?
it's not different Qur'ans, it's different.
But they're arguing about them.
That's not different Qur'ans. You're
Come on, man.
Do you know what? It's not talking about different Qur'ans.
Of course it is. They're arguing
not,
about
it's
it.
different qira'at.
They're
No,
arguing
different-
about what is meant to be in the Quran.
different qira'at.
Okay. Well, let's keep reading, man. All right. So where were we? So perfect copies. Uthman said to the Quraysh men, "In case you disagree with Zayd bin Thabit on any point, it looks like he's expecting them to disagree in the Quran. Then write it in the dialect of Quraysh." Okay. The Quran was revealed in their tongue. I thought it was revealed in 7 haruf, but I agree that other traditions say it was. They did so, and they had written many copies. Uthman returned the original manuscripts to Hafsa. Uthman sent to every Muslim province one copy of what they had copied, and ordered that all the other Quranic materials, whether written in fragmentary manuscripts or whole copies, be burnt.
If you're seriously telling me these are different Qur'ans, then you're totally wrong.
It literally says
Do you know-
Quranic
do you know-
materials.
Do you know the basics of the Arabic language?
Why do I need to know that? Why don't I just look at what the
There's-
companions said?
Wait, we don't deny there are 7 different readings of the Qur'an. We're not denying that.
Right, yeah, there's Qur'an that comes after,
You know
yeah?
what the Qur'an is?
But I'm talking about the Aruf. The Aruf was compiled into the Uthmanic copy.
Right.
Right,
There are
so he
different
destroyed them all.
There's different dialects.
Yeah, Qur'an that comes later, yeah. And even in those dialects, there are
There are-
differences in words.
The Prophet ﷺ authorized and permitted
Yeah.
7 different ways of reciting the Qur'an. They're not disputing about what needs to be included, what's not.
But they literally
No,
say
they
in this
didn't.
verse that they
No,
did.
read it again. You're not reading. You're not reading.
Okay, Hudayfa was afraid that the people of Sham and Iraq of their differences in the recitation of the Quran.
Yes.
And then following that it says, so he said to Uthman, O chief of the believers, save this nation before they differ about the book.
Okay.
Come on, he's obviously worried that they're saying
Who are they
different
talking
things.
about? Who are they talking about?
They're talking about the people up north from Iraq and Sham.
Right. So not in
Because
Arabia,
they're
not,
different.
Not, the
Not
Arabian.
Arabia. No,
Right,
this is
so-
up
so
north.
it's got nothing to do with the preservation of the Quran. It's about the fear.
No, it's about what people are saying about the Quran up north.
But what's that got to do with the preservation of the Quran?
Because they have different ideas about what is in the Quran.
No, you're misunderstanding the point.
But it says it really clearly,
No,
man.
Chris, you're not
Yeah.
getting the point. We're not talking. This is not talking about the preservation of the Quran. The Quran is already preserved. The people who they fight.
Then why are they
scared
differing about it?
Because it's the people of Iraq.
Huh?
People of Iraq. He's talking
And
about
what are
the
they?
people of
What are
Iraq.
they reciting?
Because, exactly. That's what
Right.
he fears. So that's why.
So
he's
they're
saying-
reciting things
no,
differently?
No. That means
on.
no.
Yeah.
That means it's afraid, meaning that the people of Iraq, right? They're not accustomed to the way how the Quran is recited. This is what he's scared about. He's not scared about there's different surahs, different verses.
But
No.
they were different sources, yeah?
No, you're imposing that. I've
No,
already
no.
clarified
Your
that.
Sahih traditions
I've
say.
already clarified that.
No. I think it's in Ubay ibn Ka'b
I
had
know about
160.
Ubay bin Ka'b. I've done
Right,
my
so you know
research.
that's true then.
Did I deny that?
No, you
there
didn't.
was-
You didn't.
Did I,
But what I'm saying is,
What-
since we both affirm
Hang on,
that,
hang on.
then we know there were different
Can I
Qurans.
ask you a question? Sincerely, can I ask you this question?
Yeah.
The Quran that we go with, are we going by the Uthmanic Codex or are we going by Ubay bin Ka'b Codex?
We were going by the Uthmanic one because
you very
Uthman
much.
destroyed the remaining
Thank you very much.
Qurans.
So it is possible that there were Sahaba that did memorize abrogated surahs, abrogated recitation. There's no problem at all.
What I'm
That's
saying
possible.
is, they
But
themselves thought it should have been in the
where does
Quran
it say? It doesn't say that.
because they argued about it.
No, they argued about the different. There's a scale.
Okay. Why did Uthman have to compile the Quran? Why did he have to compile it?
Why do you have to compile?
Why did he get all these different sources and compile it and then destroy the ones he didn't
By the way,
include?
by the way, the written Quran was in the time of Abu Bakr.
Yes, because Abu Bakr produced the first codex.
So
Yep.
what Usman radiallahu anhu did,
Yep.
he standardized the Quran.
Yes,
And do you know
exactly.
in what- do you know in
A
what-
man standardized the Quran.
Right, in what dialect?
The Quraysh dialect.
What
A
is
man,
that? What is that
it's the tribe of which Muhammad came
is
from
what?
and that he
Which is what?
conquered in 630.
Hafs. Hafs Asim.
Well, no, Hafs comes from the Hafs tradition that comes from
So that's what Usman
Kufa,
did.
I think.
That's what Usman did. He standardized one dialect.
Yes, and then he destroyed all others.
Right, does that mean the Quran is lost?
It means large parts of it are,
No,
yeah.
it's not.
But the greatest reciters of the Quran.
What was the reason behind
Come on,
this
guys.
going?
Come on, guys. The greatest reciters of the Quran, Ubay ibn Ka'b, Abdullah ibn Masud, these two, they disagreed about what should be in the Quran. But Uthman said, no, we're not having this. We're having this standardized one in the Quraysh dialect. All others are destroyed. He then sent it out to the big 5 cities: Mecca, Medina,
He's
Basra,
talking about the
Kufa,
people of
Damascus.
Iraq. He's talking about the people of Iraq that was not accustomed to the Quraysh dialect. That's what he's scared
If they're
about.
just
He's not
pronouncing it
he's not
differently,
talking
why would
about-
they care?
He's not talking about the preservation of the Quran. The Quran is already preserved.
But why is he worrying then?
Because people will recite it.
Because people are
Because
saying
there
it
was
what
no- there
they
was
think
no-
is
there was
wrong.
no- There was no vowel system.
I know, I'm aware. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
In
So
the written
that's
form.
what Hudayfa was scared.
Yeah.
That now you're going to the people of Iraq,
Yeah.
and perhaps the people of Iraq will not be able to recite the way how it should be recited. It's got nothing to do with what
They would
surah
say
should
it
be included,
wrong.
what's not.
No, but they did have different surahs. You already knew that.
Just to
How many
simplify
surahs
it.
does the Quran have today?
114.
How many surahs did Ubay ibn Ka'b say there
Okay,
was?
so let me ask you this question.
Just answer that.
Did
You
I
already
den-
answered it.
did I-
116,
Chris,
right?
Did I deny that Ubay bin Ka'ab did have
You
his own
didn't.
codex?
So just say it.
Right. What I'm saying that is it not possible
Right.
that Ubay bin Ka'ab did memorize
Right.
certain surahs,
Yeah.
but then it was abrogated.
Right, it's possible, yes.
Thank you very much.
But
Thank
that's
you.
not his
So we only
opinion.
know about the
That's
Usmani
not
Codex.
Abdullah ibn Masud's opinion. They believe that actually they had an authentic Quran that they got from
They
Muhammad
say-
directly themselves,
Chris,
and
Chris,
to not include it
even
would be
Abdullah
blasphemy.
bin Mas'ud, as
Yeah.
well as Ubay bin Ka'ab, even said that what they memorized is abrogated. So it doesn't
Of course,
matter.
they would afterwards, wouldn't they? If you met in a council and you basically put your argument forward, you're overruled, your religious scripture doesn't get included in canon, then of course you're going to be like, yeah, all right, for the sake of the Ummah, I'm going to agree and go, yeah, it was abrogated.
Chris, you're arguing something that doesn't even, that is not even supporting your argument with all due respect. Because this hadith, Hudayfa bin Yaman, right, is not even talking about the preservation of the Quran. This is not what you're getting. He is scared that the people of Iraq
Right.
may not recite the Quran in the way that it should be recited.
Yeah, because it's not correct.
So secondly, and
Yeah.
about Ubay bin Ka'ab, I'm
Yeah.
going to make this very clear again. It is possible that Ubay bin
Sorry.
Ka'ab did memorize 116 surahs of the Quran.
Right.
It's possible,
Yeah.
but that doesn't necessarily
He was
mean
one of the
it
master
should be
reciters of
in
the Quran.
Because the
What?
Prophet, because the
How can he
Prophet-
recite? What was he?
because the
Did he make it
Prophet-
up?
Because the Prophet ﷺ,
Right.
he had the authority
Yeah.
to abrogate.
But this happened
certain-
after he died.
No, it didn't.
These arguments happened in the time of Uthman as caliph.
First of all, you've already had a discussion with Mansur and Hashim.
I've never talked with that. I've never
you've
talked.
already- sorry,
I learned this like a month ago.
I'm pretty sure that's already been refuted.
No, I talked about
brought this
Quran
up.
manuscripts. I talked about Quran
Chris, you've
manuscripts.
already brought this up about
With other Muslims, but not Hashim, not Mansour.
It doesn't
I'll
matter.
happily talk with him.
It doesn't
I'll
matter.
find me
What I'm
Mansour
saying-
and I'll talk to
what
Mansour.
I'm saying, there are certain Sahaba that did memorize the abrogated verses. What's the problem?
They themselves thought it should have been in the Quran. They were overruled by Uthman. Uthman then destroyed their
No,
codexes.
that's not how it works.
Mate, you don't follow the religion of Muhammad. You follow the religion of
We're going by
Uthman.
the Usmanic Codex.
But yes, someone
it.
someone standardized your Quran.
Sorry?
A man standardized your Quran.
Who's the man?
Uthman.
Right.
When Muhammad wasn't even around
Do you know
anymore.
what standardized mean?
Yes, it means you collect the different codexes
No.
and you decide which ones are correct,
No, you're
which ones have
absolutely
been abrogated, which ones haven't been abrogated,
Absolutely
and
wrong.
you go, we go
That's
with this
not-
one.
That's not what the Usmani script was about in the first place.
Right, so why did they destroy the
Standardized
remaining ones?
No, he standardized one reading of the Quran.
Yeah, and he destroyed
That's
the
what we
others,
don't
and he
get.
destroyed the others. Did that what I just quoted
if
you
go
say?
to Morocco, if you go to Morocco,
Yeah.
do you know what they recite? What
Was.
Sorry. Are they different Qurans?
Yes.
No, they're not.
Yes.
This is where you don't understand.
no.
Wait. The Bismillah, I can't pronounce it. Bismillah. In different versions of the Quran, they accept it. Is it a part of the revelation or not? So that in and of itself proves they're different Qurans because some include it and some don't.
No, not
Simple,
necessarily.
simple.
Not necessarily.
So you're telling me that's wrong? You're telling me that the Welsh Quran does not have a different opinion to the Hafs
Who
Quran
authorized
and the
it?
Bismillah?
Who authorized it? Who authorized the reading of Wash?
I can't
Prophet
remember.
Sallallahu.
I can't remember the Bahal,
Prophet Sallallahu.
but what I'm saying is they
There you
differ,
go,
yes?
There you go. Prophet Sallallahu,
You can find different words.
He authorized the Warsh should be recited that way.
There are
The
different
Hafs
words.
should be recited in that way.
There are different
right?
words.
It's not
Come on.
authorized by the Sahaba. It's not authorized.
But there are
it's
different
authorized
words.
by the Prophet
But
Sallallahu.
see, I'll grant you some things. I'll say that Hafs is read by 95% of Muslims today. I'll grant you that.
That's what Usman did.
But it was
That's what he did.
standardized by a guy who came after Muhammad, after Muhammad had died.
Usman,
Yep.
radiallahu anhu, standardized
Yeah.
one reading
When did he
of
do
the Quran,
it?
the Hafs.
When did he standardize it?
He standardized in his caliph,
652.
652.
When did Muhammad die?
I don't know the exact date.
Okay.
But I just know the concept.
You could say 652 64.
Right, so what I'm
When did
saying-
Muhammad die?
in 632.
Okay, so that's 20 years after.
What's your point?
Because after Muhammad died, the best reciters of the Quran disagreed about what was in the Quran, and then Uthman came along and standardized it. Muhammad never agreed with what your Quran is today.
Hafs and Warsh is pronunciation.
No, it isn't, mate. Mate, I'm sorry. Mate,
To boil
look-
it down, it's about presentation,
No,
not
no,
content.
there are different words in it. There are different
Show
words.
me.
There are different words.
Show me. Show me.
Alright,
Get them out. Show me.
Okay,
Show me.
let's have a look. You know this though.
Look, show
you know
me.
this though, because you're an intelligent man.
This
I know
is
you
your
know this.
opportunity to show me. Show me.
I know this. Usman radiallahu anhu was not debating what surah should be included, what's not. He standardized one reading of the Quran, which is the Hafs. What's the problem with that?
Sorry, say it again.
Usman radiallahu
Yeah.
anhu,
Yeah.
he standardized one qiraat, one
Yes,
reading
but all
of the Quran.
others
Does that
were
mean
to
the
be
Quran
rejected.
Is not preserved?
No, what he's saying is that all the recitations that people who knew the Prophet, who would have recited from the Prophet, were destroyed. He did that. That's what he
You
says.
have the
in the,
rush.
yes, that came after. That came after.
That's no. You're not getting the point.
There's a difference between aruf and
You're not-
qira'at.
Chris, you're not getting the point. The Prophet ﷺ, he permitted to be read in 7 different ways. correct?
7 different modes, yeah? And in the
different
aruf,
modes.
yes?
Right, the aruf.
But they started to
different
argue.
dialects.
Exactly. Do you not get the
7
point?
different
No,
Chris?
the aruf is modes.
Dialects.
No, he doesn't understand the difference between aruf and
Dialect.
10
qira'at.
different qira'at.
Yeah, there's 10 of a qira'at, yes.
And
It was
7
7 and then it was
qira'at.
expanded
So
to
we're
10.
talking about qira'at.
Yeah, Qur'an came after. What I'm saying to you is that Aruf, when it was revealed, yes,
It
from
was
Muhammad,
revealed to the
and we know that from
Prophet.
Sahih Hadith,
They were revealed
it was
to the
it was
Prophet.
condensed into the Qurayshi one, and Uthman discarded the ones that didn't conform
What's
to
the
that.
problem if it's discarded? He's only
My friend.
He's
You're-
only
you
standardizing
okay,
one
okay.
reading
Let,
of
let
the
me explain.
Quran.
Let me explain where my argument
the
is.
point.
Let me explain where my argument is. You cannot say the Quran has been perfectly preserved if a man who came 20 years after Muhammad died standardized it and destroyed all things he did.
Standardize what?
The different Quranic manuscripts into what
No,
he considered
no,
to
no,
be
no,
the
no,
Quran.
no, I've already
on,
answered
man.
to you that Ubay
Yes,
bin
is that true?
It's possible Ubay bin Ka'ab
Possible. Yep. Sorry, man.
It's
Okay, I'll let you
possible
speak.
that Ubay bin Ka'ab
Yep.
did have his own codex
Did, yeah.
that was 116 surahs.
Yes.
No problem.
Yep.
He probably memorized these abrogated surahs.
Right.
Who abrogated it?
Right. Okay.
We say the
He
Prophet
did not
ﷺ
believe at the time before it was standardized that it was abrogated.
Absolutely wrong.
Why did he have his own
We're
codex
not-
with 116
We're
surahs in
not,
it?
we're not talking about the content, we're talking about the different readings. That's what Usman radiallahu anhu
The
did.
content
He
is different.
He standardized one reading of the Quran, not what surahs needs to be included and what surahs needs to be
No. He did standardize that. Uthman standardized 114 surahs. That's the surahs you have.
No, he didn't standardize 114 surahs, he standardized the reading of the Quran. You don't get the point.
But there
do
were
you?
different codexes. There were
You don't
different
get the point,
readings.
and
That were
they've been
in different
abrogated.
amounts of
They've been
surahs.
abrogated.
Oh, mate.
Wallahi.
It's not about content. It's
not
about
about the
presentation.
content. Exactly.
I think you're ignoring the point, and I think that's.
You are saying that Usman
No,
radiallahu
you're
anhu
forcing a
standardized the
point that
Quran.
doesn't
This
have
is in
any
your
basis.
tradition.
By the way, why do we bring Mansour? Mansour is more knowledgeable than me. With all due respect.
All right,
I'm
yeah,
a miskin,
I'll
I'm
have.
poor.
That's fine.
Can I ask But I know the
Listen, if
basics.
you say I don't know, fine. I ain't gonna hold you to it. Get Mansour, and I'll chat with Mansour.
You've already had a chat with Mansour.
Not about this.
Really?
No, I had a chat with Mansour about different manuscripts.
Let's bring Mansour. You know what? I'll bring Mansour later. Okay?
Okay.
All I'm telling you is this. Usman
Okay.
did not standardize 114 surahs. That's absolutely incorrect. He standardized one reading of the Quran.
Right, okay.
That's it.
Okay, the Uthmanic copy was 114 surahs.
Yes, it was.
The Ubay ibn Ka'b copy was 116 surahs.
I've already no. I've
No,
already said-
you've
I've
already agreed, man.
Chris, I've already
Yeah.
told you it's possible that Ubay bin Ka'ab did have 116 surahs.
That sounds like you're saying yes.
I'm saying it's possible.
That's a funny way of saying
Okay,
this.
fine. Let's say for the sake of argument, yes, he did.
Okay, great. That's what's recorded in your hadith.
But
Yeah.
the Quran that we have, we go by the Usmanic.
Yes, because Uthman said, actually, no, it's not 116, it's 114.
No, the Prophet ﷺ said no. These are okay. Do you know how the Prophet ﷺ, he was recited. It was recited to the Prophet ﷺ by angel Jibreel.
Yeah, that's
The
what your
whole
tradition said,
Quran.
in the Hira cave.
Right. The Prophet ﷺ,
Not all of it. Oh, yeah, not in the Hira cave, not in the Hira cave.
the
Yeah,
Prophet
yeah.
ﷺ then authorized the Sahaba, the companions. Look, these verses have been abrogated. These surahs have been abrogated.
Okay, yeah, I think
So
that he
it's
probably did that in
possible.
his life,
So it's possible at the time of the Prophet
Right.
ﷺ, Ubay bin Ka'ab did have surahs
Right.
that he memorized
Right.
that has been abrogated by the Prophet
Right,
ﷺ.
but he didn't think so.
Show me.
The, Ubay,
Show me.
Ubay ibn Ka'b disagreed in your hadith.
No, Ubay bin Ka'ab
Yeah.
was scared of the
Mate,
mispronunciation.
why would someone have a complete Quran that is different from the one that Abu Bakr made?
It's actually, academically speaking, it is an academic fact that the Quran was preserved.
No one believes that. Only Muslims
Check for
will.
yourself. Honestly
No.
speaking, it's not, it's
Academia,
no longer an
academia doesn't even go to the Quran for any information about Jesus. Doesn't go for any information about
I'm talking
historical
about Jesus.
context.
I'm talking about
What I'm
Jesus.
saying is that your faith is completely on faith, blind faith.
No, it's not.
No scholars.
I've already clarified to you
Yeah.
that it's possible that Ubay bin Ka'ab did have 116 surahs. No problem.
It sounds like you're agreeing with me.
I'm saying,
Okay.
no, but you're not getting the point, which is, it's possible that Ubay bin Ka'ab did memorize surahs that has been abrogated. No problem. But who authorized the abrogation? Was it
Well,
Usman?
you're
Was
going
it Usman? Was it Usman?
You're going to say it's Muhammad earlier, and I'm going to say Ubay ibn Ka'b had 116 surahs in his
It doesn't
codex.
matter. No, Ubay bin Ka'ab
Well, I guess he was
nothing
very
more.
confused then.
No,
I guess he was
no,
very
it's not.
confused.
You don't get the process.
Okay.
You see, what you're doing is
All right.
you're saying Usman. This is what he's saying. He's saying Usman radiallahu anhu. He
Yeah.
standardized 114 surahs. No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
He didn't standardize 114.
Ubay ibn Ka'b had
He
116
standardized
surahs.
One region of the Quran, which is
In the
Hafs,
Qurayshi dialect,
which is the Hafs.
the Hafs
Which is
Quran comes from
95%
Kufa. Kufa is the origin of the Hafs Quran.
Kufa.
The idea is that Uthman sent his codex to Kufa.
Is Kufa part? Is Kufa in the
Saudi
Hijaz?
Arabia. No,
Okay.
no,
That's
Kufa
what-
is in Iraq.
Thank you. But it's not in the
The,
Hijaz,
the,
is it?
I think it might be Walsh, it might be others, but there are actually some that do go back to the Hijaz.
But it's not in Hijaz, is it?
No, it's not. No.
Okay, that's what Hudayfa was scared about.
What?
That's what he was scared about.
Okay.
He was scared. He was scared.
There were
about-
different. Okay.
Brother,
Look,
brother, could you come in for a second? This brother is saying.
I asked him to
this
chat
brother is
earlier.
saying that Usman-
I asked to chat him earlier, and
this
he was like,
brother
no.
This brother is saying. This brother is more knowledgeable than me.
Shall we end it here? Because I don't think we're gonna.
Chris is saying.
You can find
Usman radiallahu anhu standardized 140.
find what's his name?
Thank you very much.
No.
Did
He admitted
standardize
there's 116 in Ubay ibn Ka'b.
One region of the Quran, he standardized that, didn't he? The Hafs.
In the Qurayshi dialect. No, not Hafs. Sorry.
So why they are not breastfeeding and stoning?
Yeah, exactly.
He's talking
They-
about the Ubay bin Ka'ab.
There are. Yeah. Well, to be honest, mate, I think I'd rather talk with Hashim or Mansour at this point. Listen, I think you've kind of agreed with me in a roundabout
No,
way,
you're not getting
because
the
you
point.
said that Ubay ibn Ka'b had 116 verses and that the Uthmanic was codicized 114. You agree with me?
Chris,
Come perfectly preserved.
Chris, I just told you that
Well, I don't quite get what you've told me. You sort
Ubay
of.
bin Ka'ab,
Right.
it's possible he may have memorized certain surahs that has been abrogated.
Sounds like yes. Okay. Is that yes or no? Like, tell me.
Yes, he did.
Okay, great. Okay, Ubay ibn Ka'b had 116 surahs in his codex.
Possible.
Uthman standardized the Quran in 652 after Muhammad died with 114 surahs. Who was right?
And then I asked you who authorized the 100. Who
Who
authorized
was
the
right is
abrogation?
asking.
I don't know because
Prophet ﷺ.
Ubay ibn Ka'b didn't believe that was the case.
It's possible Ubay bin
It's,
Ka'ab did.
yeah, but
You're
it's
not getting the
possible,
point.
mate. My point is you can't say something's perfectly preserved if you don't know.
Chris,
Yeah.
Chris, are you seriously telling me that the Sahaba did not memorize abrogated surahs and verses?
I'm not saying that. Listen, what I'm
That's what I'm
saying to
saying.
you is Ubay ibn Ka'b thought differently
No,
than what
but
you think now.
I'm saying Ubay bin Ka'ab
Yeah.
did not object.
He did
not
object.
No, he didn't.
What he had?
Show me,
Okay,
show me.
he had his own Quran with 116 surahs. Yeah,
No, not on Quran.
his own codex of the Quran with
That's been
160.
abrogated by the Prophet ﷺ.
Why was
That's
he?
why we
Why
talk about the
was he
Quranic
using
codex.
it in either modern day, what is now modern day Iraq or Damascus? Why was he using it? He might have been in Iraq, I think.
What,
Why
after
was
the Prophet's death?
Yes,
Can you show me?
that's the whole verse I just
No,
quoted
it's
you.
not. He's talking about Hudayfa, the hadith of Hudayfa.
No.
It doesn't mention that.
Okay.
It doesn't mention about.
We keep going
his
back and forth,
added,
back and forth,
his-
back and forth,
no,
right?
No, you are not willing to accept that the standardization.
I don't think you're willing
No,
to accept that
no,
they had
you're
two
not.
different
Chris,
Qur'ans, mate.
Chris,
Yeah.
You are not willing to accept that the standardization of the Quran by Usman Anhu is not about
Why did your Qur'an need to be even standardized?
the hadith say so.
Yeah, it says that they argued about it.
Standardized about what? The content?
Different
or-
readings.
Right, so he standardized
A
one
reading is when-
he standardized one reading.
Yes,
Does that
and
mean
then
the
he
Quran-
destroyed all the
Does
others.
that mean the Quran is changed?
Yes, because he destroyed
Yes, no.
all the others.
Because the Rasul Sallallahu said no. Rasul
Right.
Sallallahu
Okay, let me can I give you an example because it would really help if I said to him, hey guy, I don't know if you're a Christian or whatever, yeah, the Bible, right? We all disagreed about it right at the beginning, but it's okay because then a Pope came in, he standardized it, told us exactly what was right, what was wrong, and then he burnt all the others. Does that
mean-
sound?
does
And it's
burning
perfectly
necessarily-
preserved.
Hang on.
He would
Does-
say what?
Hang on, does burning necessarily mean that it's lost? That
No,
it's
what
corrupted?
was the reason of?
Come on.
It means it's
What was the
destroyed.
reason of burning?
Come on.
It says
What was
destroyed.
the reason of burning? What was the reason of burning the Quran?
Why would you burn Quran?
Burn Quran.
It says Quranic manuscript, Quranic materials. Is the was
Wait,
the
hang on. Burning does not necessarily mean that it's lost.
No. What
First
was
of
the
all-
reason for burning?
So that there's no confusion.
right by destroying
Why,
it?
why was the confusion there?
To who?
Why was the confusion among the
who?
people?
To who?
No. Why was the
To
confusion?
who? Was it confused for the people of
listen.
Was it confused for the people of Hijaz or for the people of
No.
Kufa?
What was the reason behind burning? Uthman burned the Quran. What was the reason?
Because there was a fear that the Kufas there was a fear that there could be high that Kufas would die. So there's a fear. So what he did, he then standardized. That's
so
it.
why we need to burn the Qurans for that? If the Qurans was there, what was the reason?
You're not getting the point, are you?
Wait,
No,
just
I'm
just
Burning
point.
copies. of
wait.
the
Does
Quran.
Kufa mean the
Many
memorize
copies
of
of
the
the
Quran?
Quran.
Sorry?
Does Kufa mean the memorize of the Quran? Is that what it means? Oh, sorry. No.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Is it correct?
Yeah.
There's a word,
Kufa were not
Quran,
reading
or
inside
something.
the Quran.
The memorizers of the Quran. Those who.
Kufas.
Yeah, but
Fars,
the Kufas were not reading the Quran.
Is that not what you're talking about, or what you're talking
No,
about?
what I'm saying to you,
Right.
what I'm saying to you is that there was a fear
Yeah.
that the memorizers.
Ah, okay. Would
died.
right? But that was before.
It was a
That was in
reaction.
Abu Bakr's time.
It was a reaction.
Well, Abu Bakr was still around, but that was in 634 when Abu Bakr compiled the first copy.
Okay, fine.
Right. We're not talking about it. We're talking 20 years later. They were still arguing about it.
Really?
Yes, that's exactly what I just read.
Arguing about.
Okay. Listen, I'll tell you what. I'm just going to give the reference, and whoever's watching this can read it themselves and make their own mind up. Does that sound fair? And then we can conclude it.
Sounds fair.
Is that all right?
I'm pretty
Because
sure Mansour already covered it.
well, I've not chatted with him, but I'll be happy to chat with
have
him.
chatted with
Not about this topic. I learned about this literally weeks ago. We talked about the differences of manuscripts.
It probably slipped off
Do
your
you
mind.
remember Sana manuscript? I talked with him about that. Do you remember that? That's the only time I've talked to him about it. And it was not about this. Anyway, let me just give the reference. This is Sahih al-Bukhari 4987. And it clearly says here, this is the time when Uthman is given the command to collect all the different materials and to standardize the Quran, and then he burns the ones that he did not include. Let your own readers...
Standardized. What does standardized mean here? You don't even know. You don't even know.
My friend, let's
why
leave it
you
at that,
don't
yeah, because we're going back and forth.
Standardized. What does standardized
So
mean?
what I go to I've already explained.
It feels,
Yeah.
no, it's like as though you know, so you tell me what it
Okay.
means here.
What they're saying is there are different readings. Yes,
No,
they come from
different-
different materials. Yes, like Ubay ibn Ka'b, like Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. See, I give him. Come on.
Ask him what was the
What did he destroy? What did he destroy?
Originally,
Yeah.
the Arabic language,
Right.
had no dots.
Yes, I know.
No kisras,
Yes, it was
no
very
fitras,
early.
no
Yes,
anything,
I totally get it. Yeah.
So when they were reading it in places like Iran, in places like Pakistan, all of those
could be lots of
places,
translation.
they were reciting it wrong.
Exactly.
Right. So they were
Yeah.
saying different things.
No, they were reciting it wrong.
Mate,
We leave it there. We leave it there.
the reason why, yeah, all right, we'll leave it there because we're not going. Anyway, should we shake hands and just call it?
Yeah,
there?
sure.
All right.
But
Yeah,
we'll speak the Bible next time.
Yeah, sure thing. I don't think that's mine. Anyway, take care. Cool. So, I had a debate with a Muslim who was arguing that the Quran has been perfectly preserved, that no letter has changed, no word has changed, no dot has changed. It has all been perfectly preserved right from the time of Muhammad. Now we know that's not true. And we know it's not true because the early Sahaba, the early companions of Muhammad, Ubay ibn Ka'b and Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, they disagreed with it. They had different verses of the Quran. And so for that reason, it's clear as day that they cannot hold to the claim that the Quran was perfectly preserved. It wasn't. It's as simple as that. Quite a simple argument, but it's still something that Muslims reject. They don't understand. They go back in circles. But Uthman burnt the Quran. This is not the religion of Muhammad. It's the religion of Uthman. Uthman standardized their Quran. Uthman is responsible for Islam. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Chris.